Tonight, Sydney sizzles through its hottest February day in 85 years. A freak storm hits Melbourne, turning roads into rivers. Cyclone-battered Queenslanders return home to see the damage. And a beach protest to stop a controversial development.
This is 7 News with Mark Ferguson.
Good evening. Sydney has suffered through its hottest day in 5 years, our hottest February day in 85 years, to cap off our hottest week on record. Robert Ovardi is at Homebush, and Rob, for once, the city matched the west.
Mark, it is absolute bedlam here at the Aquatic Centre. Most suburbs sweated it through 40-degree temperatures today, and in town, officially, it reached 41.5 degrees. That is our single hottest February day since 1926. Now, the mercury has soared beyond 30 degrees in Sydney for 6 consecutive days.
The sun has risen over Bondi some 57,000 times since the Weather Bureau started records in 1853, but never to a week like this.
Well, the record for Sydney, we broke it today, 6 days exceeding 30 degrees at Observatory Hill. Richmond, a record 7 days exceeding 35 degrees out there.
While the beaches were teeming with people, the coast offered less comfort than normal. It was hot everywhere, but unusually hottest in the city. By 11 a.m. it was 37 degrees, and by early afternoon, 43 at North Sydney. People found a way to adapt.
Yeah, this is a place to be. It's really refreshing.
Refreshing at Parramatta Pool too. In the water, in the shade, or even better, both.
This is how it's been for the last week, so...
Sport was a labour of love, hard enough just standing there, let alone running, and some would rather have copped a ball in their head than cop the heat.
You gonna wear a helmet? No. Too hot.
They were jumping for joy at Macquarie Ice Rink. In fact, it was almost too cold for some.
Gloves, a jumper, long-sleeve t-shirt and jeans.
No doubt this guy was very cool. There are those who had no choice but to confront the heat head-on. Blustery winds at Landilo putting firefighters on edge.
Possibly around 12 acres have been burnt. I'm just plotting it now.
It was extinguished, but you get the feeling the flames of passion here will be a bit harder to put out.
It's fantastic. It'll get even warmer tonight.
He's right. Expect high 20s right through the night.
Now, the good news for everybody is that relief is on the way tomorrow with a cool southerly change. We'll have those details later on in the bulletin. And the great news for me is that relief is imminent, because I bought my swimmers. Mark?
Good on you, Rob. Enjoy the dip. Drivers without air conditioning would have been fuming this afternoon after a computer glitch closed the harbour tunnel. The fault shut down the ventilation system and other operations inside the tunnel, causing very long delays. It reopened again just after 5 o'clock. Operators claim the heat wasn't to blame for the technical meltdown. Extreme weather also hit Victoria, where a freak storm caused flash flooding around Melbourne, cutting off major roads. Emergency crews received more than 4,000 calls for help, and dozens of people had to be rescued.
A freak storm that caught everyone off guard. These stretches of muddy water are becoming an all too familiar sight. Through the main streets of Melbourne, drivers took on rising floodwaters and lost.
Money doesn't buy brains.
Car after car swallowed up by the flash flooding.
Is it stopped? Want to push?
Amazingly, trains kept running but looked more like gondolas floating down canals. Roads in and out of Melbourne were cut. More than 100 millimetres of rain was dumped in just a few hours.
So the southeastern suburbs of Melbourne in particular suffered repetitive thunderstorm activity.
Despite the warnings,
please don't drive through, ride through or play in floodwaters.
Some accidents were unavoidable. A 26-year-old English tourist was asleep inside this tent at Doncaster when the tree fell, leaving her with head injuries. There were plenty of waves on Wave Street.
Started gushing down and then slowly seeping its way through the yard.
Well, once it got under the house, it just came basically straight up in about a quarter of an hour.
Another state now facing another clean-up. Georgina McCarrow, 7 News.
Now to far north Queensland, where residents have begun the huge task of cleaning up after Cyclone Yasi. Paul Caddack is in Tully. Paul, the death toll from the massive storm remains at 1.
Mark, police had been searching for a couple missing at Port Hinchinbrook, but they've been found safe and well. That's the good news. The bad news is that people here are realising just how long it will take to get their lives back to normal. Where do you start? The heartbreaking, back-breaking reality for those North Queenslanders at Ground Zero. Tully Heads is a little piece of coastal paradise visited by hell. Homes are destroyed, some are simply gone. Curtie Allen returned today to see what was left.
Here's the lounge room, and there's the beautiful ocean view.
Is there anything in particular that you are looking for?
I was just looking for, I had 3 folders with all the memories in it. 10 years we've spent renovating this place. I can't find it anywhere.
Husband Kev found a lot of their belongings over the road.
We had the boat. The boat was in the garage. See where the blue roller door is?
Yep.
Which is still down for some reason. But yeah, it's gone from there about 100 metres, turned up in here, and it's just turned over. The motor's all twisted underneath it.
Here in Taylor Street, no one was spared. It's simply a matter of how much destruction. Number 6, the blue house there, they've lost most of their top floor. Number 4 here, he's lost most of his front room. And number 2, well, there is no more number 2. It's over there now. Marissa Papadimitriou joins the clean-up of her shattered community.
It's trying to find things, and that's what I'm finding really hard because my stuff is just, I don't know where.
Most evacuated Tully Heads before Yasi, but in nearby Hull Heads, Sparky and Tootie stayed.
When I look back, I am glad we stayed here.
Yeah, I am too, yeah.
Because we would have been in town, and the dog would have drove us mad and everyone else.
And you couldn't get down here.
And we knew we'd be trapped, could be for 2 weeks or something.
Port Hinchinbrook, the luxury playground that became a cyclonic battleground. Rob Porter is seeing the damage for the first time and his boat thrown up on dry land.
I dropped the anchor out. I put it way out, 100 and something metres of chain, and I thought that'd hold her if it did float off the pontoons. But the anchor's still out there. She's dragged, 70 tonne.
$30 million worth of vessels piled up. For 12 terrifying hours, these boats were like bath toys in the hands of Yasi. And if you ever wonder just how strong a Category 5 cyclone is, well, just imagine the force of a storm that could do that. Rob Hayden took his boat into mangroves to ride out the storm in his concrete hull.
The noise was the worst bit. I just can't describe it.
Where do you start? It doesn't really matter. You just do. In Tully, Paul Cannon, 7 News.